scale. So there's two things to really think about here. Number one is the enormous cost. We know for a fact, based on documentation that we have, that the $175 million initial bid book proposal that governments have been saying until recently is the correct number was an outright lie. And we're going to be able to prove that. So when they finally admit that they're spending $1 billion and they're basically militarizing our city and creating red zones and having their tactical squad ready to quell protests. So the initial threat assessments basically said they were worried about foreign terrorists, and then they were worried about crime, and then they were worried about domestic protests. And what's become very clear in the last little while, the most recent CSIS threat assessment said they're primarily worried about activists and demonstrations. So where in their minds is the idea that street protests and street theater and the activist community here is now a threat that requires the military and F-18s in the air and helicopter gunships and ADATS missile batteries and frigates of POW sound? Why is that all being put on? I mean, is that they're so terrified of the embarrassment of the street protests that they have to over-militarize the whole community? And I guess the answer is yes. So they're going to spend $1 billion essentially to control domestic dissent, which, if you think about it, is actually a fairly stupid thing to do. Because all they can do is create a climate in the city that's supposed to be the absolute opposite of what the Olympics is supposed to be about. And if they really want to terrorize a lot of terrorists from not coming to Vancouver at all, they're sure choosing the right way to go about doing it. Because who wants to come to a fortified city? Who wants to come and be locked down and find transportation a nightmare and see cops and soldiers on every corner? That's not. I wouldn't go to a city like that. Why would anyone else want to? So they're really playing to a lot of kind of a very strange audience here, and I'm not entirely sure what they're up to. I think once this Energizer Bunny security apparatus gets rolling, they don't think rationally anymore. They just do what they know best, and what they know best is dealing with their threat scenarios, and it doesn't really matter what it is anymore. And so we are paying an enormous price for them to police us, to surveil us, and to suppress dissent and take away civil liberties. As one of my colleagues in the Olympics Resistance Network put it, we have a user-paid police state for 3 weeks.
Now, I went to the flag-raising ceremony at City Hall. There was almost $40,000 of police. There was over 200 police for like 40 protesters. It was almost ridiculous, like a presidential visit or something.
Yep.
I've heard rumblings in kind of the anti-poverty groups, etc., that they're major sweep and just clean up the downtown and like just sweep people right off the streets for a few weeks. Does this have any validity?
Oh, it does, absolutely. It's a history of past games as well. When just this last summer in Beijing, the police and military evicted all the migrant workers from the city. So they didn't want to see the shanty towns where those people lived while they were constructing the Olympic venues. We know you don't have to go very far back in time to another Olympic city, Atlanta, where 9,000 homeless people, mostly black, were evicted from the city or put in jail. If you look at what happened to mostly black population in New Orleans after Katrina, they were basically warehoused in the Superdome, and the whole idea that somehow that the poverty is an embarrassment that you have to hide is something they have to face. They could have dealt with this a long time ago. There are timelines. If you start building now, and this was a year and some ago, you might be able to get the social housing you need in time to get the people off the streets, but they didn't do it. So now they have a cosmetic problem. The cosmetic problem is best solved in their view by sweeping the problem away. So we've heard rumors that they're actually going to warehouse a lot of homeless people. They're basically going to put them in buildings and not let them out for the duration of the games, and it'll be massive civil rights violations. We also think that they're going to go after activists in a big way. They're going to be, in my estimate, I would imagine there'll be preventative arrest. They'll use the anti-terrorist legislation and other things to sweep up a lot of people, and basically try to corral dissent and hide the homelessness by extremely heavy-handed policing measures in advance. So I think that's what we're looking forward to. We're looking forward to a very repressive society during the period of the games, and at the end of it, I think Canada's reputation in the world is going to be vastly diminished. Not only will it have cost us enormously more than we were told, but it will have actually not only not solved problems, but will expose Canada's inability to deal with the outstanding problems our society has in terms of homelessness and poverty in one of the richest cities in the world, and the fact that we cannot tolerate dissent in front of the eyes of the world.